AITA for recording my uncle's drink request. My uncle thinks it's funny to get me to run back and forth between the pool and the kitchen getting him drinks. He will say he wants a Coke, then claim he asked for a beer, then asked where his Coke is. He usually blames it on us damn millennials always being on our phones and not paying attention. For whatever reason my parents don't tell him to piss off. It started getting old a long time ago and I usually dealt with it by making myself scarce when he is over. He was visiting over Memorial Day and he caught me. He asked for a Coke, so I brought him a Coke. Then he said he had asked for a beer. So I pulled out my phone and played the video I had recorded of him asking for a Coke. Like most of us damn millennials, I was on my phone when he asked and I knew what was coming, so I recorded his request. He asked me for a beer because that's what he really wanted, so I told him I would be happy to get him a beer after he finished his drink because unlike his boomer generation I don't waste stuff for the fun of it. He got huffy because he was just joking around. The next time he asked me for a drink my phone was in my pocket. So I pulled it out and said I didn't remember what he asked for, could he please repeat himself? He said he would just get his own drinks. I told him that was a great idea. My parents think I was a jerk being rude to a guest and my elder. I thought I was just making sure he got what he asked for. AITA. Edit. He is actually a millennial and I am Gen Z, I guess. And yes, it is cultural as to why I'm expected to fetch him food and drinks. WIBTA if I charged my sister with a felony? I had a small grant come in the mail for about $3,500. I had never received it and became confused on where the check was at. The college finance department told me it was cashed back in April and the name of the bank. Some time passed and I ended up finding out my sister written down my social security number on the back of the check, forged my signature and told the banker I allowed her to cash the check, never needed to provide an ID either. The banker allowed it and my sister never said a word. She was arrested recently, so now my mom and grandma are saying she will be in serious trouble if I don't drop the charges and that I shouldn't do that to my sister. Would I be an asshole if I charged her and made her go to prison? Edit. I didn't think my post was going to get any more attention than of 100 people lol. My sister and I do not get along. We haven't for a while. A few weeks before this my grandma had a few $1,000s stolen from her pocket that she had just taken out of her bank account. It might have fell out or it was snagged from her sweats. She doesn't believe in bank cards and refuses to use them, so that's over $6,000 in 1 month. My sister stays in a room at my grandma's crib. So, who could it be? AITA because I need a child-free weekend? I have a 10-year-old daughter with my ex. I have full custody and she has visitations 1 weekend a month. I tried very hard to get this much custody, however I really need that one child-free weekend. My daughter is a very energetic girl and she has ADHD. However, my daughter has been begging me not to let her go to her mom's home. Her reasons are things like I hate sharing a room or the food sucks. I told her I'm sorry she doesn't like being there but she has to go and she starts crying and yelling that she doesn't want to go. My mom thinks I'm an asshole and should let her stay. AITA for stealing my sister's thunder on her engagement party? My 23F sister, 25F, recently got engaged to her fiancé, 26M, after they'd been dating for a year. Their engagement party was basically a dinner with friends and close relatives, and my sister went all out on the food. To her, marriage is a huge deal, and she's had her whole wedding and married life planned out since we were kids. I've never felt the same excitement for weddings and kids and such things, even though I do want it at some point, and since I'm a lesbian in an homophobic family, I long ago accepted that a big fancy wedding with my father walking me down the aisle isn't part of the plan. This doesn't sadden me much, but my sister, who's the only one in my family who know about my sexuality, has been convinced that I'm jealous of her since she started dating her fiancé. The dinner started out great, but after the main course, my family and relatives started asking about my dating life. It was pretty harmless questions at first, such as when are you getting a boyfriend? And why aren't you dating? I saw that boy hitting on you just yesterday. It annoyed me, but my sister seemed even more annoyed. After dessert, when the alcohol started kicking in, the questions got a little out of hand. My mom said, I can't believe your sister got engaged first, you've always been more social. And my grandma commented on that I was the more attractive sister. My sister obviously got hurt by this, and I caught her crying in the bathroom at one point. I tried to talk to her, but all she said was happy? You've made my engagement all about you. And then avoided me for the rest of the party. So this is the part where I might have been the bad guy. After my aunt asked when I would get a boyfriend for the millionth time, and I'd had my millionth glass of wine, I told her that I'd never get a boyfriend, but when I got a girlfriend she'd be the first to know. I then stormed out of the apartment, accidentally knocking a glass over, and took a cab home. My phone immediately started blowing up, but I turned notifications off and went straight to bed. One of me and my sister's mutual friend, who was on the party, told me the next day that a wild discussion about what I said to my aunt was held and then the party cut short. My sister locked herself in her room crying and everyone went home. I have now been blocked by most of my family and relatives. My sister sent me a nasty next about how me coming out on her part stole her thunder, and my mother no longer considers me family. I'm not gonna try to make up excuses for my behavior, because I definitely could have been a more supporting sister, but I just wanted to know, AITA? AITA for telling my friend that I didn't like her wedding dress? 3 months ago I, 26F, attended 27F's wedding. Her wedding was a destination wedding at a beach venue. When she arrived, she was wearing a puffy bright red dress, the kind you'll see celebrities wearing at the Met Gala. It was very unique and she stood out beautifully, but in my opinion, the dress didn't flatter her, nor the venue, and I personally didn't like it, but I wasn't gonna be the person to tell her that on her wedding day and ruin the night for her. So the rest of the day was very fun and I had an incredible time with her and all of our other friends. My opinion of her dress I kept to myself because I dislike talking behind people's backs and it isn't my place to tell her what she shouldn't have worn. After all, it was her wedding day and she should wear something she feels amazing in, and I noticed that she had an amazing confident aura wearing the dress and I felt amazing for her. Yesterday, she came to my house to watch a movie with me. Before we started watching she talked about how her parents told her that her wedding dress didn't look good and that she should have worn a white simple dress. They are a very traditional type. Then she asked me what I honestly thought about her wedding dress, and most respectfully, I told her that while I thought that the dress made her stand out amazingly and it was very unique, in my personal opinion, I wasn't very fond of it and that it did not flatter her. She was quiet for a second, then she got up and left. Even though I tried explaining to her that I didn't mean to offend or insult her, she left in the end. I tried messaging her but I got no response. Today her husband messaged me saying that she cried for hours after I met with her, that I was very disrespectful, and that I had no place to criticize her dress. One of her best friends sent me a long message about how while he agrees with me, I didn't have to tell her that because it isn't our place and that I came across as jealous and pathetic. I don't know what to do or say and I'm having trouble even contemplating whether I was wrong, so what do you think, AITA? And #X200B. Edit. Someone told me to add this comment reply to my post. At first, I told her that she stood out and looked confident and left it at that, but then she asked me I didn't ask you if I looked confident or unique, I asked you what you thought about the dress. I didn't want to lie to her since we've always had a very blunt relationship. She's always told me the blunt truth, but keeping in mind that it was obviously a really big day for her I tried to be kind and sensitive about my honest opinion. But I see that I may have been too rude and not considerate of her feelings. Thank you for your comment. I'll try to make things right with her if she will give me another chance. But also guys, seriously thank you so much for actually making me realize I was definitely in the wrong. I didn't really think it through many times in my head and just said what I was truthfully feeling, and I understand how wrong it was, especially since it was about something she now couldn't change. I've seen a lot of people saying I could have said something before her wedding, but I wasn't one of her bridesmaids and she said she wanted to keep everything a surprise. Also, we've always had a very honest and blunt kind of relationship and she's always told me that she dislikes white lies, and if someone asks you something you should always answer it truthfully. This is the woman who told me and my boyfriend of 2 years to break up to our faces because she thought we weren't compatible for each other since he traveled a lot for his work, and although I was upset, looking back I realized that relationship was absolutely going nowhere. This is why I disagree with the comments that say that I should have just lied. I honestly cannot lie to her, and lying about something would make me feel guilty. But I completely take responsibility for talking about the negatives when I should have only spoken about the honest positives. I messaged her if I could meet up with her and she replied saying she was thinking of that too. We're meeting each other in a few hours and I'll try to apologize to her and tell her that it didn't matter what I or her parents thought of her dress. If she felt amazing and confident in it, then that was the perfect dress for her. Thank you for everything. I'll show her this post and we'll update after I've met with her. And #X200B. Edit. Her in-laws wanted her to wear red because in their culture the bride wears red. She didn't want the traditional dress, but they came to a conclusion to at least let the dress be red. I also want to say that when I said it wasn't flattering on her, I meant that the dress didn't match her height. and some parts were loose on her. Not that she and her body was the problem, but more that the dress didn't perfectly fit her. That is what I told her, but I didn't want to go into detail about her in the post, which is why I only said it didn't flatter her.